Welcome back to Real Talk with REsimpli, where we get real about real estate, business, and everything in between. I'm your host, Shanae Jordan.
And I'm Don Carlson. All right, guys, today's guest is someone I am stoked to chat with. Jon Barbera is the founder of Prime Wealth Academy and a high-performance real estate operator who has built a blueprint for predictable, high-profit deal flow in today's market. So Jon has renovated over 1,000 homes, flipped hundreds of properties, and scaled his business to 10x profits per deal. Not just by luck, my friends, but by building consistency with systems that actually work. So yeah, he teaches investors how to stop chasing random transactions and running a predictable business.
And what really stands out about Jon is his ability to break down the art of a seller conversation, certainty, leadership, positioning, the stuff that separates closers from the amateurs. He's helping operators build profit, clarity, and confidence at every stage of the acquisition game. Jon, we are super fired up to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Pleasure for being here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, awesome. So we are going to jump right in with some of the stuff that you shared with us before we hopped on here. So I want to get into the nitty gritty about your backstory. So you shared with us that you came here to the U.S. from Argentina, and you lived here as an illegal immigrant for nearly 2 decades. Can you take us back to what that experience was like growing up in America without having any certainty or status? And how did that shape your work ethic?
Well, it was a fun journey for sure. So my parents were sold on the dream that in the US you can walk down the street and trip over $500, right? So being broke in Argentina, like tripping over $500, it's like hell yeah. I've been here now 30 years. I've never tripped over any significant amount of money.
I mean, Hollywood streets are paved with gold, I guess, but like we live close to Hollywood, and that's not true.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, they sell the dream for sure. So we got to a little town in New York called Newburgh. At the time, it was deemed worse than the Bronx because of the crime rate and everything. And they had like 2 dangerous streets, Broadway and Robinson Avenue. And we landed in Robinson Avenue. So it was I was 7 years old, wasn't allowed to go outside because God forbid I got shot, or like it was just straight fear. So yeah, so I grew up pretty much afraid of damn near everything, because anything could potentially get us deported, or at least that was the thought back then. So it was always a grind. We had a lot of times with no food. Like my dad would just go to work for days without eating. So it was definitely not the American dream we were sold. And learning English, getting the ball rolling and everything. My dad bounced from job to job trying to find stuff, because also as an illegal and no English, you're not at the top of the pecking order for decent jobs. So his first job was in the World Trade Center in '94, shoveling crap out of the garage because a bomb had exploded the year before, like in the World Trade Centers. So that was his first job, was literally shoveling crap. So it was seeing that kind of grind. My dad was never too proud to do anything. He did whatever was necessary. And I think that attributed a lot to the way I live my life, because there's just nothing that's too, I don't know, low for me.
You're not above like hard work, like, and doing what's necessary.
Yeah. And giving up's not an option.
It's not, because I mean, I came from legit nothing. So what was I going to lose? I didn't have anything. I dropped out of high school because there was, again, by not being legal, getting a job or going to college just made no sense. And I was a terrible student anyway. So I dropped out of high school, just kept working construction with my brother. And we were renovating houses, and we were doing that. So I did that for years. We renovated houses all over New York, the tri-state area. And I had 3 herniated discs by the time I was 18, and just kept working, right? Because it's like, nobody cares. What are you going to do? Like, I always used to see Americans like, oh, my knee hurts, I can't work today. And I'm like, no.
I got 3 discs bulging from my back, sir. Dude, I smashed my finger in a weight, like while working out a couple days ago, and I was like, oh, ow, ow. And then I'm like, wait, like football players get smashed like every day, like like tradespeople, like blue collar, like construction, like they deal with so many injuries. I'm like, I'm gonna keep lifting. I ain't gonna be no little, put whatever words you want there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was exactly that. And even imagine, like at 18 years old, I will wake up. It'll take me about 30 minutes before I can straighten up because of I needed to like warm up my lower back to be able to straighten up.
Miserable.
And then I just wouldn't stop, because if I stopped throughout the day, I couldn't straighn up again.
Oh, wow. So I think it's safe to say that you're not doing the construction on your flips yourself. I would.
No.
Spoiler alert.
Pay me enough to do it now. Now I'm above that. I'm like,
you've graduated.
Yeah,
no, for sure. So Jon, like you just mentioned that you dropped out of high school. That's not, I mean, not finishing high school is something that a lot of people like shy away from telling people. And it's something that you just straight up led with it. So what really pushed, besides being a terrible student, what pushed you to drop out? And at what point did you realize that that decision didn't actually close doors for you, but actually opened them?
Well, I mean, honestly, the biggest decision, my dad had a heart attack that year, and he's like, I can't work. He was thinking of moving back to Argentina. So the company was going to be left to my brother, and my brother couldn't do it by himself. And I looked at staying in school, and I'm like, what's the point? Like, there's literally, there's nothing I can do. Like, even if I graduate with a high school diploma, I wasn't going to use it for anything. Right. So to me, I was like, screw it. I like working. I like making money. Let me just start now. So I dropped out and I started working with my brother. And we were just doing construction because honestly, at the time, there was nothing else. Like, no point in continuing school.
I mean, I think that's a really, actually, especially being like a young teenager, I think that's a really insightful and mature way of looking at it. You know, my son, for example, my son's 12. He also is not the best student. I mean, he will be graduating high school, but him and I have already had the conversation, like, college is not in your future, bro. Like, it is not. It would just be a complete waste of time and money for him to go to school, which, I mean, I think we've seen a shift in this country. I mean, Don, I think you and I are like well, you might be a little bit young, but my generation for sure, it was ingrained in us. Like, you have to finish school, you have to go to college. I'm still paying off student loans. And do I use my degrees? Not really. I mean, it was 4 years of, for what,
I mean, so. Especially into, I think I'm 31. It was still like, you got to go to school, go to college, get a good job. But like, we've seen a big drop off with job security, with even like traditional, like very secure industries, like computer engineering, like AI is taking over that, like analytics or econ type even business stuff is getting taken over by like AI and or just like being more efficient in cutting down. So like, just because you have a college degree, like everyone has a college degree. So like, if everyone's special, if everyone's special, no one is. So it's like, I think that what you went through, Jon, is now trickled down to actual, like the American like side of it too. So we're all trying to figure it out.
Yeah. What was even funnier, at the time I thought I got away with it, but looking back at it now, I realized, I was like, damn, I have to go to my guidance counselor in order to be able to drop out. Like, they have to like evaluate everything. She pulls up like my whole transcript, she pulls up everything, and she looks at me and she's like, yeah, it makes sense.
You're gonna excel in construction, Jon.
Yeah, and I was like, at the time I was like, yes, I got away with it. Now looking back, I was like, damn, she shot me. That was
kind of rude.
She's like, you ain't amounting to shit. So I was like, all right, okay, cool. That shoot a kid down. That's good. But
let's reframe that, like, Jon. You were ahead of your time.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. For sure. But that move started a lot of like insecurity for me, because like I was never good enough for anything. Because I was illegal, I wasn't good enough for a job or even a driver's license. Because I was a high school dropout, I wasn't going to amount to anything. Like it was everything I ever did was like I was just never good enough. In my thought, in people's eyes, it's like, this kid, what is he going to do? Right? He's not worth anything. So I lived a lot of my life just trying with that chip on my shoulder of like, just watch, just watch, and eventually it
We
came
here,
through.
baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say that you made it. Most people assume that successful investors like yourself start with money, education, or some sort of network. I think we've pretty much established that those things were pretty much missing from your circle, Jon. When you look back, what was like your first real break or moment that made you think, damn, like this business could actually work for me?
Oof. So I sucked bad for the first like 3 years in real estate investing. Like I was bad. I got screwed over by a few partners that I was trying to partner with, because I early on I realized like it wasn't like the books, right? In the books they would be like, oh, you can wholesale, and like this hillbilly in Kansas just does like 15 grand a month, and I'm like, shoot, if he can do it, I could definitely do it, right? And like that's how the books portrayed it. And then I'm starting to do it, I'm like, oh, there's a lot missing here that I don't know how to do. So I would start partnering with people, and they would like take the deals, and then, oh no, that one didn't pan out, that one didn't pan out, and I'm like, but keep bringing them to me. I'm like, yeah, I think they are panning out, and you're just not paying me. So it was a lot of that struggle, and it happened for about 3 years. And my son, my firstborn, Nico, he was going to be born in September. And I had promised my wife that she wasn't going to need to work anymore when he was born. And it's July, and I still couldn't come up with $2,300 a month, 3 years later. So it's like, I gotta, I gotta figure this out. So I sat down and I was like, let me apply at Home Depot, because here's how the mind works, right? It tries to make sense of things. So it's like the way it justified it was, if I work at Home Depot where there's investors and contractors, I'm going to be able to network with some real estate investors, and maybe that could be my leg in. So it made sense to get a job at Home Depot. Luckily, the application process takes like over 2 hours. And one of the worst things about me going to school was testing. I didn't test very well. I don't have the patience for tests. So 15 minutes in, I'm like hyperventilating. Like it's just this knot in my stomach. Everything in me is saying, don't do it, And I'm like scared out of my mind. And I was like, all right, screw this. I closed my laptop and I was like, I got to make this work. Like it's not, this can work. I have to make it work. Right. And ever since then, like close the deal, close another one. And they weren't big, but it was enough to
Yeah,
cover
proof
the
of
bills.
concept too. I'm assuming you
Yeah.
let those partners that were jacking those deals from you weren't working with those people anymore.
No. Oh, they screwed over me a few times, and that was it. Like I got the premise. The last one that used to do it to me, I learned a lot from. So he's like, oh, I'll give you 20% of what we make. And I was like, I don't even care. Like whether you pay me or don't, I want you to show me. Because at the time I was doing foreclosure marketing. He taught me how to do sub twos, how to analyze deals, how to close all this. And this was, 12 years ago, 11 years ago. So I was doing that, and he taught me how to do the whole process. And it was like, oh, we're going to, it's 20%. We'll close a $15,000 deal and I'll get a $600 check. And I'm like math was the only one I was really good at. I'm like,
when
what's
money's
going on?
Involved,
And
I'm a freaking genius.
Yeah. All of a sudden, I was Rain Man. It's like, hey, relax. Like this is not adding up here. And it was pretty much, he's like, oh, well, you got to understand, out of the 15 grand, we have this expense, this thing, that thing. I'm like, well, that's why you're getting 80%, right? Like, so he would like 400, 600, and I was like, it's fine. I learned a lot 1 year working with him. Um, Needless to say, I'm in business now. They're not, so it's that kind of, taking advantage of people just doesn't play
Amen
out.
to
If
that.
you're patient enough, you will make it. And a lot of these people that all of the people that did that, none of them are in real estate
Yeah.
anymore. One of them became an agent, and they're just, yeah, mediocre at best. So and I don't wish bad on anybody, like, by all means, but it just goes to show, like, the intentions matter. So I focus more on learning so I can replicate the process. And because of that, like, there's really no deals at this point that I can't take down. There's nothing that you can throw at me that I couldn't close. But I learned those skills.
That's I mean, wise words. I mean, we say it like it's a broken record, but I think you just, hammered it home even more, is that this is a relationship business, and it's a niche business. And if you do people dirty, it is going to, I mean, word's going to get out. So, I mean, you got to have the right intentions, and, you know, treat
It's
people
a big industry, but it's not that big. like,
exactly. Yeah.
It's
like
really not. It's ridiculous. Like, when I started really building my business, and we went from doing a few wholesale deals here and there to now all of a sudden we're doing 6 figures a month, we're getting to a point where it's like, it's really not competitive up here. And I don't mean it in a bragging way, but when you start seeing there aren't that many people up there, and it's not crazy,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden you start seeing everybody's dirty laundry. Like, it's insane what it looks like once you kind of like rise above the grind, and you start looking at it, and it's like, I'm hearing things about people all across the country, because it gets very, very thin
Mhm.
at the top, and the word travels very quickly, and you see who's like
Well,
doing
because you
shady
like
stuff
you
and
like
all that.
meet at conferences, and like there's a lot, like I have friends all over the United States. Like I could go to any major city and like, hey, hit somebody up for coffee. But it's like I've met all people networking, mastermind events, like real estate conferences, even like social media, like that's connected the world too, where it's like it's a moral of the story though, just like do unto others as you do to yourself.
We
Like,
learned this
Yes,
in kindergarten,
100%.
people. Come on.
yeah,
Yeah.
Sunday school when I was like 7, but
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's that scarcity mindset, right? It's that, everybody wants like 100% of everything. And I've been partnering my whole life in this business. I've always partnered. I've always worked with other people. We JV'd, we do things, because to me, I'm like, guys, there's so much out there. Like, we don't have to, oh my God, it's my deal, it's mine, it's all mine, because it's like, dude, just keep going. Stop holding on to that one. I've learned so much about real estate because of the partnerships. I've been able to partner with some really top investors that have taught me things that I could have never learned, in like 5 years by trial and error. And they taught it to me in 2 deals. So what? I gave them 50 or 70%. Like, the lessons that I learned, it's made me
you
millions
paid
since.
less than
So it's like,
there than you would have in college. So
Yeah.
100%. Oh yeah,
while
while making
making
money,
money.
right? Like, because I'm paying, but I'm also getting paid too. So, like, I'm good. It's coming out of profits, right? So yeah, it's that scarcity mindset. I think screws a lot of people
Yeah.
up.
And there's never ever going to be a day where like people are not buying and selling homes. Like that's never going to go away. So it's just kind of ridiculous in this business to have that scarcity
There's
mindset.
15 to 17 million vacant houses across the United States. That's vacant. There's plenty of deals to go around.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, every time I hear people ask me, like, hey, can I do this in my neighborhood? I was like, I mean, let's see. Do people live there? Yeah. Do they live in houses? Yeah. Yep. You can do it. It's just, now you implement the strategy of like, understand your market,
Sure.
understand all these things, see where the demand is. But this is not like, I always hear this all the time, and it blows my mind. They're like, oh, but you can't do that in California, you can't do that in Florida, you can't do that in New York. I'm like, no, you can't. But if people live there and they live in houses, I promise you people are making money in
Yeah.
real estate. There's just no
mhm,
doubt in my mind at
Yeah.
all. But people have that limitation.
100%.
You've you've talked a bit about like, how growing up with all the decks stack against you, being undocumented, growing up broke, being a high school dropout, all of that thing, how you constantly had this chip on your shoulder and like thought of, I'm not good enough, like, that sort of thing, what parts of your past do you like now see as a superpower instead of something that you used to consider a disadvantage?
I'm not afraid of making mistakes. It doesn't stop me. Like when people are scared of doing something because what if it goes wrong? It's like my whole life has been going wrong since I started, right? Like I'm what's the worst that's going to happen? Like I've been through it all. I've been here with no papers. I've been here like trying to hide and be careful and don't get caught, driving without a license, working without papers, like all these things. I've done it. I've been broke. I've had nothing to eat. Um, I, what? Like, what are you gonna do to me that I haven't gone through already? Like put me in jail. That's the only thing I've never done. I've never been, in jail, and not curious about it either. But other than that, like, I don't play scared. I still play like I'm that illegal immigrant high school dropout where it's like there all there is forward, right? Because it's like what am I going to do looking backwards? So I attack everything. And it's funny because like one of the things I've been kind of talking a lot about recently is stop playing defense in life, right? Like everybody's like they start struggling a little and they're like, okay, where can I save some money? Where can I cut back? Where can I do this? And I'm like, you're not going to win by playing defense. Like my business partner, he runs our expenses and everything. If you ask him how many times do I ask him about our expenses, he's gonna frustratingly tell you never because it pisses him off that I don't care. But to me, I'm like, dude, I'd rather make more money. I don't care about saving. We're not in a position where it's like I'm gonna retire. Let me cut my expenses down. I'm like, growth. Let's go. Oh, our bills are high. Cool. Let's make more money. Our tax bills are high. Cool. Let's make more money. Like I'm always in offense, always constantly in offense. And I think a lot of people play scared. They play with, oh, but I have debt.
Go make more money. Get out of debt.
Is that going to come and
are you going to
in
save
your
yourself
like, what's
out
it
of the
do?
debt? It's like the answer is
Yeah.
no. It's like, that's, and for people who have like, I've talked to a bunch of people in real estate that are like this last 2 years has been a little rough just because of like just the market, like honestly becoming a regular market though. Like we've talked about this on the podcast before, but like guys,
they don't have,
it's not 2020, 21. That was an anomaly that was like presented because of low interest rate. No, it's 2020, 2017 again, man. Like, so yeah.
The people that I see struggling right now in real estate, just they don't understand real estate, and it's not an insult. Like I get it, because I started before the pandemic. When the pandemic happened, my partner and I looked at each other and we're like,
let's go.
Let's milk it. But let's also be cautious. So we flip a lot. So we still bought flips with it making sense in the moment that we bought them. A lot of people were buying them hoping the appreciation was going to pull them into profit. Right. So when the market shifted, they found themselves with a bunch of properties upside down. Right. And I saw a lot of people like in San Antonio, the market, like months of inventory went to like almost 8 months. We were under 2 months and it did that in a matter of like 6 months. So it's like that's a like that market hit the e-brake and it spun out of control. Right. Like it was horrible. Yet we made more money. And we still make more money in San Antonio than most other investors. Other investors are like all over Texas because they're like, we got to find the deals. I'm still in San Antonio closing deals. You understand? Because it's like, you got to understand your market. And I think most people just keep chasing whatever that hack or strategy is rather than understand what the market is doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. I think not playing scared is definitely a superpower for sure.
Absolutely. Playing to win, not to tie or not play to not lose. It's like that play to not lose.
I'm sure you guys,
go ahead.
I'm sure you guys know Gary Vee, right?
Oh, yeah.
Heard of him? Like he has this thing I heard a while back that he's like, it's like you're playing a basketball game and you want to win the game 2-0. Like, you're all defense. He's like, I want to win the game 143 to 141.
Run up the board, man. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, when I heard that, like I even get goosebumps now. I'm like, yes, that's what it is. Stop playing defense. Like just put more points on the board. You're gonna
Mhm.
learn more and
And
get more.
I know we haven't dove too far into any like of your process. We're about to can't wait to hear like how to take some actionable steps to make my business better, but also like all of our listeners too. But I mean, we've spent 25 minutes basically talking about mindset, and that's such a big
Mhm.
part in real estate that can get kind of swept under the rug. It's like, okay, great. Yeah, I know I have to like play to win and stuff, but like how do I like close deals? It's like you
Yes.
have to fix that mindset to then open yourself up for more opportunities like down the road. So just to throw that out there, everybody. But now that we have the mindset part down, guys, play to win. Um, Jon, you've tried multiple marketing strategies over the course of your career. I would say like
Mhm.
what strategy is working best for you right now to get quality leads in for a great price?
Yeah, so I've through the years I've done them all: paper lead, PPC, Facebook, direct mail, pretty much anything out there, radio ads. I've done them all, and the one that has consistently worked through the years has been cold calling for us.
Interesting.
So it's the one that, because you gotta and this was, I realized this when I was gonna quit real estate in 21. Like I was fried with real estate. I was so done with it. We were making money, but it just wasn't moving. It was just like always just, we weren't broke. That was it. We weren't growing either. And what I realized is like, what's the most direct route to the seller? And aside from door knocking, which you got to kind of guess when they're going to be home, unless you're willing to door knock at 9 o'clock at night. And in Texas, people are locked and loaded, so I wouldn't recommend that. I had a shotgun pulled on me
Oh,
once,
wow.
yes. So that's why I know like that one's not really scalable. The next one is cold calling.
It's not scalable.
you know, no
Understatement of the year. But yeah, okay, cold calling. Yeah, they can't pull a gun on you over the phone.
you may not last long enough to knock another door, so it's not scalable, dude.
All right.
But so cold calling was the next direct route, and what I loved about cold calling is that you have a million first impressions. Like I can call you today, piss you off because you were just in a bad mood or whatever, and I can call you back next week and you're not going to know it's me, right? Because like I'm not the only one calling. They're not, remembering who the hell you were. So you get a million first impressions. And I got to test out like what was the need for people. I got to really talk to them. I got really to build out my process, my framework that's like, okay, man, these calls aren't lasting more than 2 minutes. How can I make them last 2 minutes? And then how can I make them last 5 minutes? And then how can I make them last 10 minutes? Now in 10 minutes, I'm like, I'm learning everything from them.
Interesting.
Like I know all their motivation, all their pain. Because after a while being on the phone with somebody, it gets to a point where your a seller's objections just kind of drop. It's just kind of like, all right, you and me, we're having a good conversation. It's going well. They'll answer whatever you want.
Interesting.
So and then the cost of cold calling is, I don't know, whatever you pay for a CRM, because like it doesn't cost really
For
anything.
sure. Yeah, you could skip trace for free within REsimpli. You could, yep. With that, that's interesting. You were trying out different formats of the call. Maybe not scripting, but frameworks. But what does your cold call scripting framework look like? And how do I reframe that conversation from like you called me, like give me your number, like what do you want, versus like
Right.
giving the wholesaler or the flipper the power in the conversation again.
So, and here's the biggest thing before you even make the call. A lot of people call to qualify a lead. I called to close the lead. So the qualification is the list. If you're pulling a crappy list, you're going to need to qualify the lead. And that's when you get a lot of that stutter and a lot of the people that get pissed off. You hear of all these regulations and all these things for cold calling. They're nonsense. They don't influence what we do. They influence the people that are hiring virtual cold callers and have, hundreds of calls a day or thousands, right? Like those get in trouble. We don't, because we call a select few of homeowners that we know are in real distress, right? So when the list is high quality, the conversation is completely different. So for example, when I call somebody in foreclosure, right, I know they're in foreclosure. I know they have equity in the property. I know what's going on. I know the foreclosure is coming up in a few weeks. So I address it. So my framework is very simple. It's your intro. Your intro is that first 10 to 15 seconds. That is the only part I need you to have dialed in. Not just the words, but how you say the words, the tone of your voice, which words you're going to enunciate better, which ones you're going to make sure to land harder. You're going to let them sit there a little longer so it packs a punch. The intro is going to create curiosity from the homeowner. If you can't create curiosity, the call is dead. But if you create curiosity, you move on to the next step, which is connection questions. People very quickly go into, tell me about your house, right? What that triggers for a homeowner is this. They put their arms up. They're like, now you're just trying to take my house, right? Now you're trying to figure out what's wrong with it so you can lowball me and all this. And you get a lot of the, oh, my house, it's great. It's excellent. I haven't touched it in 15 years, but it's beautiful. Of course. What else are they going to say? Yeah. They live there, right? They're not going to tell you, oh, I live
it's the Taj Mahal. What do you want?
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much, right? Everything's perfect. What's your offer, right? Because they don't like you, know you, or trust you. That's the point of the connection piece, is to get them to know you, like you, and trust you. So with foreclosures, again, my first connection question is pretty much like, in order to help you out better, you mind sharing what happened that got you to fall behind? All of a sudden, again, in order for me to help you out better, right? So if they say, well, what does that matter? I just said it. It's in order to help you out. Right? Most people answer that question, pretty much all of them. And they tell you what happened to cause them to fall behind, what was the struggle? Did they lose their job and all this? Now, here's the other point is whenever they respond, actually listen. People aren't doing this. They're taking notes. They're doing this. They're on Zillow. They're already doing all their due diligence. Stop. You can do that later. I honestly don't care what the house is going for. I don't care any of that, because I'm helping you, right? If I can help you solve your problem, my spreads are tremendous. Has nothing to do with the value of the house. So you tell me I lost my job. The next question is like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. What was it that you used to do? Oh, I worked on this thing. Wow, that's so cool. How long you do that for? Now they're talking. And they're talking about themselves with my
everybody likes to talk about themselves. I think that's something people forget about.
Yes.
And like to eliminate some limiting beliefs here too, like people, I feel like if something bad has happened like in my life, it's like I want to explain like, well, this is what I'm not a POS, man. Like this is what happened. This is the situation.
Yeah.
And like it is like most of the time it is a traumatic life event that has happened, and giving someone the opportunity in a lending ear like you're doing, like that's I've never heard that before. That's actually great.
Yeah, and it's because we go back to the same thing. If the more I can get them talking, subconsciously they're thinking like, man, I really like this person. Because like I'm talking about all these things, and maybe I'm letting out some frustrations and some, because my boss is a piece of crap, and they did this and that and boom and this. Oh my God. Yeah, I know that's terrible. I don't understand why people do that. Maybe the person you're talking to is
he might be,
right?
But like
yeah,
you totally deserve to get fired, bro.
Yeah, like dude, I would have fired you too.
We like to give everyone the benefit of the doubt, trust but verify, all that good stuff.
Yeah. And it's really that. Like, I'm not trying to be their friend. I'm not gonna invite them to my wedding, right, or to my kid's birthday party. It's like I'm just trying to connect with you. So it's the same. Like if they had like usually it's two major life issues, which is like a loss of job or health issues. Sometimes the third one could be a divorce, but mostly it's health or that. Is in the same thing. I had a health thing or no. Oh my God, are you doing better? Yeah, and what happened? That must have been so scary. Oh, and how long were you in the hospital? Oh my God, and what did they say? Like, what's the treatment going forward? Or are you okay? Are you recovering? Now all of a sudden, we just spent probably 5 minutes. They aren't long. Just connected.
You're asking
when they're
you're asking open-ended questions too. It's not yes or no type stuff.
Yeah. Right. I don't want, because I was just going to say, like, when you know that you connected with somebody is when they're giving you long answers. If you ask a homeowner a question, they're like, yes, no, I don't know. Yep. Okay. You're not connected with them, right? And the mistake people do is you haven't connected with them, and you immediately move it over to motivation. Well, why do you want to sell your house? Like, what do you want to do? Immediately, just shut down, right? Because 10 out of 10 people in foreclosures don't want to sell their house. That's why they're in
Yeah.
foreclosure.
And
If they wanted to sell it,
there's a lot of them are like delusional about the state of their situation.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah.
So and another little reframe there is they're not delusional, they're hopeful. So
okay, John.
by having no, because that reframe helps you have a little bit more empathy for them.
Okay.
Because what I've learned with my students, I do a lot of call reviews and stuff, and when I listen, and I'm like, you're judging them. When you judge them, you won't ask the right questions. You understand? Because you're like, this guy's a freaking idiot. I get it, but that doesn't help you close the deal.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not a judgment thing about it. And it's not that that's right or wrong. It's just like, it won't allow your mind to work in a way that's going to allow you to connect with them better, so you can actually help them. Right. So I try to, it doesn't matter what they tell me, I'll have complete empathy for them. Right. They could be the worst person in the world, and I'm still going to try to
I
lead
was
with
selling
empathy,
drugs
right?
at my
Because
work and I got caught. Oh man, you were just trying to hustle.
Man.
You're just trying to make some bread, dude.
You know, they just put cameras everywhere nowadays. They don't let you do anything.
The nerve of the business owner.
You know,
and the truth is, like, most people are not like that, right? Like, it's never, we had one guy though that he got divorced, and he talked horrible things about his wife. Like, for all we knew, that lady was the devil incarnate, right? Like, she was just horrible human being, and we had to speak to her. And my acquisition manager, he's like, man, I don't know what we're going to do. This lady seems like she's going to be a, pain in the ass and this and that and that. I'm like, stop. You never spoke to her. What if he's the one that's an asshole? And he's like, well, he was a nice guy to you.
right.
What if he just hates women? We don't know, right? Like, maybe he just hates women, right? Like, I was like, let's have some empathy before we connect with her. So, like, I reshifted his mindset. And he called her, and after a while, we get the contract, we get everything. He's like, dude, she was the sweetest woman I've ever met.
I mean,
I was like, but if you went at it with that mindset, you would have been hostile yourself, right?
Subconscious hostility
it
too.
matters.
Yeah, it's interesting because we're back on the mindset thing again, right? I mean, like, we're talking about processes and systems and all of that good stuff, but it's like the way you frame it, John, is still very much around mindset, which we've never had these types of conversations before.
Well, what's funny with that is I launched my mastermind. I did 2 calls a week, right? And then I added a 3rd call, which is a mindset call every week. Because what I realized, it doesn't matter that I give you the strategy. That's why I give my strategy to everybody. It's free. Get it. You won't do it. You understand? It's why you won't do it that matters. What are the beliefs you have? I literally have people struggle because they made a call, got an appointment, locked it up, and they could potentially make 60 grand. They're like, I've never made that much money before. And I'm like, cool. And they start sabotaging, and they start freaking out, and they delay taking it to title, and they delay reaching out to their buyers. And they start literally sabotaging the deal because the most they had made before that was 6 grand or 5 grand. They're like, how can I make 60 so quick? Like, it's silly to hear, but it's a real issue for a lot of people. You don't know until you're in it. And that's not a tactic. That's not a strategy. That's mindset, right? So to me, I've learned that 80-90% is mindset. The rest is strategy. And the strategy is just not that hard,
Dude, that's bombs.
Fire.
I did want to take it back. I know mindset is super important. Just like the tactical, like, what does your intro look like? Because that's 90% of like just getting your foot in the door of separating yourself. Like, what?
Oh, 100%.
Like, what are what's like an actual scripting phrasing that like someone could use, and then open it up to all that rapport building.
Right. So let's say with the foreclosures, because every list has its intros and questions. This is why I tell people to specialize whenever people are struggling with deal flow and everything. And I go in to analyze their business. The first thing that pops up is they're spread too thin. When you're spread too thin, the objections are random, the calls are random, the approach is random, everything is random. And when it's random, you can't make money on it. So it's specializing. So let's say with foreclosures, the intro that's been working with us is very simply, you call and it's like, hey, Don, what's going on, man? This is John. Listen, I was just giving you a quick call. Has anyone from the county reached out to help you with the foreclosure on Cliffside that's coming up in February?
It's like, oh no, John, no one's called me.
Oh my God, man. Like, I'm so sorry to hear that. I don't know why people just drag this out. Cause I mean, we're talking about less than a few weeks away. Were you aware of this?
I got a letter, but I thought it was spam or something, but I'll figure it out.
All right. Well, look, that's why I'm here. I made some time to give you a call. Like, I believe nothing happens by accident, right? We're here talking. Let me ask you, in order to help you out better, what was it that caused you to start falling behind?
I mean, it's not really any of your business. I don't know you.
Okay. No, not a problem. I completely get it. It's just my only thing is I'm going to move on to help other people. And the issue is that if you don't have this resolved, come February 3rd, the house gets taken from you.
Gotcha.
You understand? You lose everything. And I would just hate to get a call from you February 4th asking me, what are you going to do? What can you do now? Because there's nothing you can do at that point. If you don't need my help, this is the last time you hear.
Gotcha. Oh, I'll tell you everything, John. End scene. No, that was great. That was fun. No, that's great. Like, I like that you took it away from him too. It's not like you need me. Yes. It's like, I mean, you need me, but like, I don't need you. Like,
yeah. Well, and that's why, like, a lot of people pride themselves in handling objections. I'm like, you got to understand, when you're so good at handling objections, you're a salesperson, and the other person feels it. When they say this, boom, right back at you, and this, boom, right back at you.
Then they start playing tennis, and then it's defense.
And it's not, and to me, I'm like, it's not you and them, it's you with them.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we're not across each other, we're next to each other. So don't throw shit at me, right? Like, we're here working together. It's not going to work, right? So what I try to do, it's a strategy I call preemptive persuasion. When you understand your list so well, you can get ahead of so many of the objections and cover them ahead of time. And then they're like,
it's more like a dance instead of like the tennis match that Don mentioned. Like, yeah, it's
yeah. And then you'll hear this from them, man. It feels like you're in my head. When you get that, you're in. Like, you're in, because you know what their fears are. And honestly, towards the end, like that, when the last few calls I was making, it just got boring for me. And again, not in a bragging way, but it's like, I knew what objection they were going to give me. I knew what I was going to say. I knew what they were going to say. I knew what I was going to say. And I knew what I was going to contract it. And my contract was, I will go to four appointments, contract 4 appointments, close 4 deals. Like, it was 100%, right? But because I spent the time to perfect this piece, I didn't go to appointments that weren't going to contract. I didn't make offers I knew weren't going to get accepted. I made the intention to make sure that when I make an offer, it's a yes, right? Because they know that, they trust me, they like me, they understand that they have no other options, and they only want to work with me.
I like that to do another analogy, but it's like you're sharpening the axe, so it's so sharp that, like, once you go to cut down the tree, because you pre-qualify with the list, which I think is a great idea. Like, people who call like 5,000 people, 10,000 people lists, like, and use a VA to do it. And that's another thing. You're the one cold calling, or you have like a very qualified person cold calling for you, correct?
Yes.
So
yeah, we noticed even the pass off was an issue. So I used to even have VAs call just to verify the number was correct. And then I will call them. And just from them verifying the number to me calling them, we never got a hold of them again. And because, like, sometimes that one time is the only time they're going to pick
one shot.
Phone, right? So yeah, so you get that one,
I was about to go
thinking that.
One opportunity. Sinead's got the hat too.
Yeah,
we all went there.
I've killed that analogy so many times. I'm like, let me stop. But it's exactly that. You have that one shot, right? So, and I tell everybody the same thing. you have the one shot, you do everything on that one call. There's no, okay, well, let me call you back. No, they're not going to answer. They're just not going to answer. If you can't meet them in person because they live out of state, then you contract them over the phone in that moment. You understand? Like, there's no callback. When you have that level of urgency in yourself that I'm here to close, all of a sudden you close more deals. Because the issue everybody has is like, well, let me take a look at the numbers, and you lost it. That's it. It's over. Because if I come in behind you, I'm closing. What numbers are you going to look at? What? Oh, 70% minus repairs. Yeah, good job. Let me know how that works out. It's insane. So it's like, solve their problem, and you will contract well below the 70%, where that's why the numbers just don't matter to me, because where I'm contracting, there's so much margin that
that actually brings up a good point. So after you get the solid intro, you're in the door with rapport, quote unquote, in the door with rapport. Actually, that's a fun little phrase. In the door with rapport. But
you're a poet and didn't know it.
I know. Goodness me. But you have that connection with the seller. Now it's like, okay, if I'm not using the 70% rule, like, how am I coming up with the offer? Am I asking them like, well, how much do you need to get to the next stage in your life, essentially? Or like, what are the next steps to close it, essentially?
So they're not going to know that answer, right? So what we want to do is we want to lead them to it. We want to help them figure it out, because what you don't want to hear from them is, I don't know, I got to think about it. Let me call you back. Right? So I know that's going to be the answer. This is the preemptive stuff, right? I know if I ask that question, it's going to give me that answer, because 8 out of 10 times I've gotten that answer. So I'm like, okay, how else can I ask that question? So what I ask them is like, look, February 3rd is 2 weeks away. It's coming up quick. The property gets auctioned off. Where are you going to go? Because notice my voice, right? I drop it because this is serious. I need you to lean in. Right? I'm not like, okay, because February 3rd, the property's going to get auctioned off, so what do you
psycho?
No, like,
what do you
like, yeah, easy, you little gerbil, like, relax, so it's one of those things that's like, break it down, right? This is a serious topic. This is a serious situation. So it's like, what do you think, where are you going to go? It's like, well, I don't know. I mean, at that point, I guess I can probably go in with a family member, or I have been looking at some apartments. Okay. And what is it that, do you already have the money for those apartments? Or, well, yeah, I have some of it, but man, I don't know, man. I don't know. Okay. No, this is why I do this. I just want to make sure that you're prepared. So how much would you even need to be able to make that move? Like how much are you short? I mean, I guess at this point, like $5,000, something like that. Okay. And then, are you able to move? Do you have the means to move? And yeah, I have some buddies that can help me. Right off the bat, I know $5,000 is more than enough for them. $5,000 is more than enough. It doesn't matter how much equity is in the house. I'm here to solve their problem, right? Their problem is $5,000, not $50,000. So now when I'm ready to present my offer, if I give them, and this is another thing with me, I don't do 5, 10, 15s, 20s. I do 7s, 8s.
Calculated
12s,
numbers, so it's like,
right?
You're thinking more.
Yeah, it gets them thinking a little more, because even if they counter, they're not going to counter
by 5, 10,
round numbers. You know what I mean? So they're going to be a little bit more. And then when I go back up, if I offered 12 and they came in at like, anyway, you can do like 18, well, I mean, I can maybe get up to like 12.8, maybe. Like, that's how much I go up. Because if I go from 12 to 17, it's like, dude, that's a big.
Then it's like, oh, well, how much more does he actually? Because then it's like, oh, this guy. If I said yes, I would have lost out on $5,000 right there. It's like, no, that's a great strategy.
So this is why when people play this negotiating game, like, it's so silly, because it's like every time you negotiate, you're shooting yourself in the foot. So with somebody like that, I know they need $5,000. I know they're doing all this. So once I figure that out on the phone, I set the appointment, right? Because, like, to me, in person, the close rate is way higher, because now it's face to face. I got the contracts with me. We're here to close, right? Like, we're ready to go. So I do that. But if it can't be face to face, it's like, all right, so I mean, $5,000 it will do that. And I mean, at least, yeah, because then, oh man, your credit. I completely forgot about your credit too. Because how are you going to get those apartments? Oh yeah, my credit is going to be destroyed. Yeah, damn. You know, and it's like, well, what else can I do? You know, now they start opening up to me, and I give them time to breathe. Let us sink in a little bit. You know, don't try to like kill the noise, the silence, because you get nervous with silence. You know, silence sometimes is powerful. Let it sink in for them.
You know, Jon, you mentioned this, you know, like about like intonation and tone, and it reminded me of something my dad always used to say, and he passed away in 2018. But I remember growing up, he always used to say, "Shanae, it's not what you say, it's how you say it." And that's like exactly, I haven't thought about that in a hot minute, but you're bringing it back big time. And it's so true. Like, you could probably say like the most heinous shit on the face of the planet, but if you do it in a way that, you know, can resonate with the person you're talking to, they're going to buy it. Like, for real.
100%.
Cults.
And it's
Yeah,
funny
yeah,
that
there
say
you go.
that.
Guys.
Yes.
I mean,
Hey,
sorry,
they're
this is a very
masters
heartfelt
at it.
moment, but it's just real.
He's like, I need to
Joe-
break up the heartfelt moment.
Yeah.
But
Oh, man.
but it's hilarious because it's exactly what I tell my students. Sometimes they tell me like, but I said exactly what you said. I'm
It's
like,
not
it's
the
not
words.
the words.
Yeah.
And then if you study, like I started studying, are you guys familiar with the NLP?
NLP, I'm
Neuro-linguistic
Yes.
No.
Yes. 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 I am. Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you look at Tony Robbins, that's what he masters in, is NLP. How he gets people to like shift so quickly. It's all that. It's how the brain, you know, how we hear things and how our subconscious reacts. In NLP, one of the structures, and it's not just an NLP, it's like a psychology term. The words matter 7% out of 100. The other 93% is your physicality and your tonality. You understand? How you say and how you carry yourself, right? It's more powerful than what you say. And a lot of people are always like, I see all these, you know, gurus out there, like, oh, get my script, get my, yeah, my bad. Get my script and get my script for this and get my script for that. And I'm like, that shit probably stopped working 10 years ago when they did. You know, it's like, that doesn't work. You got to understand how to deliver it. Just knowing the words, like when you hear all the things I say, listen to how I'm saying it, not what I'm saying. When I'm like, man, yeah, that's tough. You know, like they
your radio
slow down.
DJ voice is
Especially-
like nice and smooth.
Yeah, and sometimes you get
Slow jams on Sunday night.
Well, yeah.
It
I
sounds-
don't want them to feel like they're being
Yeah,
seduced
okay,
either.
okay, yeah, sorry, my apologies. I have that effect. Just kidding. I'm a dork.
But yeah, man, like it's those things of like, you know, when you're talking to them and you're trying to connect with them, you want to slow it down, especially if you're talking to a seller that's very hostile, right? Oh, I'm so tired of you guys calling me this and that. It's like, oh man, I'm sorry, Don. I'll be honest, it was not my intention to ruin your day. I'm really sorry. I'm going slow in purpose because he's up here. I want him to slow down. Come down to my level.
Come on.
And sometimes they stay pissed, but other times they're like, yeah, man, it's just, you know, it gets frustrating. I'm getting all these calls. Oh, I get it. I mean, how many calls you think you even get in a day? You know, and now get them talking. You know, like just because somebody's pissed, I'm not gonna hang.
They're not mad at you. They're
just because
they're
they said
just mad.
No. They don't know me to be mad at me.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, but I don't take it
Uh-huh.
personal. Everybody else does. You know, I've had people in my office that all of a sudden they're like, you don't know me. Come see me. I'm like, yo, relax.
Bro, too much test this
Calm
morning.
down.
Man. A little
Catch
more
me
TRT.
outside.
Yeah.
though. Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. I'm like, what are you doing?
my
Relax.
gosh.
Nobody, they don't know you. They don't know who you are. Calm down. They're just stressed out. Lead with empathy. You know, it's going to go a lot
No,
further.
that's fantastic.
Firebombs. Yeah.
And so taking the cold calling stuff too, like I know you've mentioned, I'm starting to see why you believe in this, and
Mhm.
I mean, you've had success with this, so obviously you're gonna keep doing it. But maybe quick answer, but like, why do you believe that like PPC or PPL marketing like sucks for most operators? Is it cost, competition, or maybe like the lack of being able to qualify like what those leads are like off the gate, like you would with cold calling?
Right. It's pretty much that. It's random. With PPL, PPC, whatever you get is just random. But you got to chase them down anyway because you paid for it. Right. So you don't know what the motivation is. You don't know why they're submitting, especially with PPL. They sell the same leads to a bunch of other wholesalers. Right. So everybody's calling the same person. They got the same information you got. So unless you're first, right, and you crush it on the call, and you got to be able to crush that motivation. And when you don't know who you're talking to, it's harder to pinpoint what the need is. When I know I'm talking to somebody that's tax delinquent or is doing a probate or has a foreclosure, I know where the pain is. So I know where to poke. But when I'm just speaking to some random dude, like, I don't know, like, is it even your house? I've had people submit when I used to do PPL. I called this guy that was trying to sell his sister's house and he didn't own it. And I'm like, does
Does
she
she
know
want to sell?
this? He's like, yeah, she'll be okay with it. I'm like, no, that's not an answer, dude. Like,
She'll be fine.
I was like, this doesn't work that way. You can't sell your sister's house. Like, what are you doing? So it's to me, it's expensive and it's wasteful. And then it's the same thing with direct mail. People that start with direct mail, I think it's a tremendous waste of money because when you're starting, you don't know how to carry a conversation.
Expensive
So if
lessons.
somebody calls you, yes, you don't get that many at bats with direct mail, right? Because you're not going to get your phone melting like it used to be. When I first started, we used to stagger our direct mail because if we send out 100 pieces today, our phones melted, right? Like it was insane how much callback we would get. Nowadays, that's not really it, right? Like you'll get it sporadically. You got to practice. Like if they're calling you and they're like, well, what's your offer? What's your offer? And you don't know how to get over that, you just burn those leads. And if they didn't tell you what the address is, they didn't tell you anything, you don't even know who you're talking to. Right. So it's like, yeah, it's this person called, but I don't know what property they own. So it's a very expensive way to learn how to close deals. That's why I start people with cold calling. It's like you need to get good on the phone first. Once you're good on the phone, you can close anything. It doesn't matter what it is. But then the other side is we do multiple six figures a month with like less than 500, $600 a month in marketing.
This is
Like,
crazy.
I don't know. When people are like, why don't you do direct mail? I'm like, why would I?
Yeah.
Like I'm already making more money than most people with this much marketing. Like it's insane for me to just spend more money just to spend more money. Like it
doesn't make any
no
sense.
at all to me. No,
John,
not
you
at all.
mentioned basically that the 70% rule is trash. What do you think?
Yes.
What do you think that investors, because I mean, obviously so many investors are so focused on that. That's how they build their offers. They build it around the 70% rule. What do you think they should be thinking about instead? Like to get away from the
So
70% rule?
thinking about it as a wholesaler, right? The 70% rule is what you're going to sell it to your buyer for, right? Is what the numbers that you run. A real buyer runs numbers. They don't do 70%. They're running their numbers. They know what their closing costs are. They know what their holding costs are. They know what their rehab's going to be. They know their numbers. I have flipped houses that were 82, 85% deals, but I still made 30 grand, right? So it's like, it's not about the percentage. It's about how much am I in it for? How quick is this deal? How much am I going to make? Right. I factor in those things as a buyer. What does that mean? ARV is an opinion and so is rehab. And if you're putting your opinion as a wholesaler on that, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Because if you're being extra conservative, you're leaving money on the table. I mean, people are like, oh, repairs aren't an opinion.
They are.
I'm like, really? You don't get multiple bids, and those bids aren't all over the place. Like you haven't done this long enough to know what the hell you're talking about. Because like repairs are a complete opinion. I've done the same house twice, and the next time I did it, a month apart, I spend an extra $8,000. Why? I did the same rehab. I don't know. Like all of a sudden the tile we were using got discontinued and I had to go $1 more a square foot, and it's like all these things. If like I used to do property tours in San Antonio of houses that we were flipping. And people are like, we walked the house. It's 1,500 square feet. We spent $56,000 on it. And this lady, she's like, oh, great. I'm doing a house that's similar. She's like, so it'll be about 55 grand. I was like, no, it was 55 grand for me. Unless you hire my contractor, source the materials like I source it, and manage the rehab like I manage it, it could be 20 grand more, 20 grand less. We don't know. It's an opinion. So when you're using your opinion, you're leaving money on the table. That's why my wholesale fees used to be so tight, because like I would look at these numbers and then my buyers would come in and it's like, yeah, man, I'm not seeing 250 ARV. I'm seeing closer to 235. What am I going to say? No, you're wrong. Yeah. Like those are numbers he's seeing. So why am I going to think for them?
Smart.
You understand? It makes no sense. And then it also caps you on what you're going to contract. Because when you're running these numbers, you're like 70% minus this much in repairs, minus my wholesale fee. I'm going to start at this number. What if you can actually go a lot lower than that?
Because you're solving the problem at the end. If it's a $5,000 problem, like you should be paid for that skill solving that problem. And 100%. Like, no, but
we did a deal recently. We contracted before December because she was going in foreclosure. She inherited the house. She's like, I really don't care because it's not affecting her or anything. And she's like, if I could get $5,000, I'd be happy.
Done.
Sure. There you go. We gave her the $5,000, bought the deed, and we made $220
Holy
on it
shit.
In San Antonio.
Wow. That's crazy.
That is like, something that I heard about like a year or two ago. My buddy, he'll buy shares like for if it's a probate dealer, there's a bunch of family members. Like he'll buy out the shares of the house, and then once he hits 55 or 50% or more, then it's like a hostile takeover. but like that you can buy deeds for X amount of dollars, and then it doesn't matter what obviously if it's not free and clear, you got to deal with the loan. But that's a great idea.
And then that's the value of specializing, right? The reason we learn how to do that, buy partial interest and do all this creative stuff, close outside a title, like, is because we specialized in one field. We didn't hop, right? You see people, I do novation, I do mobile home, I do single family, I do multifamily, I do land, I do this. I'm like, you do nothing. Like you're just spread so damn thin that it's like you need a team of 10 to barely make 60 grand a month. Like it's insane. You understand? Like I have one guy that can generate 6 figures a month. Like what are you doing? Like you don't know how to make money. You understand? Mm-hmm. And I know it sounds like a judgment, but it's a lack of their understanding. And it's always that illusion in this business that if you want more deals, do more marketing. And to me, it's like, if you want more deals, get better. Like you can actually make more per deal if you just simply get better at what you're doing.
I love that.
I love that. Jon, I got one final question for you, and it's kind of out of the box, but let's say that tomorrow the phone rings and someone offers you $50 million to never flip another house, to never coach another student, to never do any more deals ever again. Would you take the money? Why or why not?
Oh, definitely not. I'm the kind of guy that I will die working. Like I live right now. I moved to Tennessee because I could, not because I needed to. I run my business out of San Antonio, right? Like, and I live in Tennessee. I live a great lifestyle. I coach because I want to, not because I need to. You understand? Like you look at the way I run my coaching business, I do month to month. Like people want to leave. I'm not doing those like, I got you for a year.
10 grand.
Whether you do something or not. Good luck. Yeah. I'll give you a discount, And it's like, I don't do any of that because it's like, you don't like it, leave. Like, I'm not here to hold you hostage because I make money in real estate. I do what I do, but I love doing it. I love the hunt. I love figuring things out. I love learning the different techniques, working with my team, figuring out like even how to get better performance for my team. I have moments where my team members just take a nosedive. You know, I have some team members that made more money than they've ever have, and all of a sudden it's like the urge kind of went away. And I'm like, hey, dude, we still got deals to close. You know, so it's like, how do I remotivate my team? How do I re-inspire them? Right. So I like that. I love learning. As you can see, I have a ton of books. Like I love learning. I love improving myself, not because I need to though. But if somebody was to give me 50 million, first of all, 50 million, I'm like,
forever? Like I
I'm
can't
gonna make
do this ever
yeah,
again? Like, I don't know.
yeah, I'm gonna make a lot more than that. So like, I'm okay like that. You know,
Would there be a
it's just,
number?
it's
Would
not
there
even
be a
the money
number?
anymore.
No.
No, no. When Mr. Beast, I heard that he got offered like over $1 billion for his brand, and he rejected it. I was like, it's just you. Don't, it's not about it. You know what I mean? Like when you get to a certain level, you can buy a nicer house, nicer cars, but where's the fulfillment? You know,
money is
where's
usually the first problem
contribution?
why people start something, and then eventually once they've
Yeah.
come, like once you're at a certain level of that business, entrepreneurship in general, like then it becomes a
Yes.
purpose question. Like, why am I
Absolutely.
doing what I'm doing?
Yes.
And that's that you if it
I've
was
noticed-
it wasn't a test, but you answered it correctly.
Yeah. I mean, I think you just summed up exactly like what true financial freedom really is about though, right? I mean, financial freedom
Yes.
really is about not just quitting and retiring. It's building the life that you want and being able to do what you want every single day. And what that looks like is different for everybody. But, you know, I mean,
Yep.
like Don, you just mentioned the purpose thing. I don't know if you guys follow. I've noticed a shift with Cody Sanchez's social media lately. You know, she used to really talk a lot about like buying boring businesses and this and that. And, you know, I saw um a reel that she did the other day about like some sort of homeopathic concoction that she makes when she gets sick, like just a crazy shift in like what she normally used to talk about. But that's what she wants to do now, and she can. It's not because she has to, it's because she wants to and she can. So yeah.
Well, it's funny when I take on a new student, we have a call like this, and I always ask them why they're doing real estate. If their only answer is money, I don't take them on, because when you have a number in your mind, you got to understand like a lot of the techniques I teach, kind of like the buying the partial interest in that, is dangerous. You can steal people's houses if you're not a good moral person, right? Like if you're not a good human being, you can manipulate people out of their homes. You understand? So it's like, I want to make sure your why is something bigger than
Yeah.
just money, you know, because then also as soon as you make a little bit, you stop, you know, and it's like, and then you get frustrated again. And then I got to pick you up again. And it's like, it's a pain in the ass. So it's like, you know, I want to make sure the motivation is so much bigger than, you know, just making money. Can you make money in this business? 100%. That's not a question. It's just, what else is there?
Yeah.
What else are you striving for?
That's amazing. Jon, this has been a killer conversation. We dove into a lot more than I thought we were going to. So this is great, man. So but from your journey as Argentinian coming to the States, however you guys could, and high school dropout, which I think is awesome, to renovating thousands of homes, building a predictable high profit deal flow. I mean, the lessons today were real, and we could tell that it was earned the hard way, but thank you for sharing, man. If you got value, listeners, if you got value from this, go follow Jon Barbera, plug into Prime Wealth Academy. He has a great YouTube page that has so much knowledge in there too, and see how he's helping operators build actual businesses, not just doing deals, investing as a hobby.
Yeah, Jon, thanks again for coming on. You've really shared some amazing truth bombs and been really real, and we really appreciate it.
I love REsimpli. I always use it. So anything you guys need,
appreciate it, Jon. Appreciate it. And as always, thanks for tuning into Real Talk with REsimpli. If you enjoyed this episode, share the show with somebody who needs this. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button for future episodes wherever you're listening to this.
Until next time, keep it real, guys.